let's continue forward with the Chandi path. We're going to part 3. So the next part is I meditate upon Bhavani. Bhavani is the embodiment of existence, the grantor of perfection, who's surrounded by rays of light and other subtle energies. Her body is of red hue. Her 3 eyes are exuberant with compassion. In her hands are the net, the curved bow, the curved sword, bow, and arrow. Om the Rishi says, when the Lord of Thought became aware of the death of passion and anger and many of their army, then excessive anger filled the mind of the infamous self-conceit, and he ordered all of the armies of thought to march to war. Today let all thoughts of strength arise. Let the 86 plunderers of peace, holding weapons, and 84 without restraint, assemble with all their forces. So I'm going to send the ones that are going to take away your peace, okay? I'll fix you. Let's go forward. I order 500 million heroic warriors of the family of thoughts to assemble, and the assemblage of hundreds of the family of vices. Okay? Let them march off to war. And let the thoughts born of calamity, and the thoughts born of perplexed hearts, and recurring thoughts, and fears of the unknown, be ready for war, and immediately set forth at my command. So all of these, the negativities, okay, all the negativities, recurring thoughts, the things that get in there and just like the hamster wheel, again and again and again and again, okay. The fear of the unknown, that's a big one, you know, putting out that fear to people. So let's continue forward. After the command, the fearful king of thought, self-conceit, and the terrible ruler marched to battle surrounded by thousands of warriors. When she saw that exceedingly terrible army approaching, she who tears apart thought made the twang of her bow string hum from the earth to the sky. O king, then the lion goddess began to roar loudly, and the mother of the universe increased the noise with the sound of her bell. With the twang of the bowstring, the roar of the lion, and the sound of the bell, the hum of sound rose in all directions. From the tremendous mouth of the remover of darkness came a dreadful sound, even greater than the others. Having heard that tumultuous sound in all 4 directions, the warriors in the army of thought angrily surrounded the goddess, the lion, and the remover of darkness. Your Highness, at this time, in order to slay the thoughts and to raise the gods back to heaven, from the bodies of creative capacity, the consciousness of infinite goodness and the consciousness which pervades all, and also from the rule of the pure and other gods as well, energies emerged in forms which possessed extreme valor and tremendous strength, and these forms joined the battle with she who tears apart thought. In the same dress and ornaments and with the same carriers as the gods possess, in that same appearance their energies came to fight in the war with the thoughts. Seated upon a carrier yoked to the swans of vital breath, displaying a rosary in a begging bowl, came the energy of the creative capacity called creative energy. The energy of the great seer of all arrived, riding upon the bull of discipline, bearing the trident of unity, and wearing bracelets of the great serpents of energy, with a digit of the moon of devotion shining on her forehead. Okay? So all of this continues to talk about the path. You have to have discipline. Unity helps. This is why we have an online ashram. So you have some unity, you have some support as you're going through your journey. Okay? The energy of the ever pure one, the mother of the universe, who is the form of consciousness, holding the weapon of energy, arrived there, carried by the peacock of beauty to fight with the thoughts in the battle. So again, holding the weapon of energy, okay? This is Kundalini, like I said, the rotor-rooter of consciousness that brings all this stuff to the forefront to see, to question, to dive deeply into. Continuing. And the energy of the consciousness which pervades all arrived, sitting upon the great bird of brilliancy, with the conch of vibrations, discus of revolving time, club of articulation, bow of determination, and the sword of worship in her hands with which to fight. So these are the things it takes. Speaking the right things, being determined, having the right worship, okay? Seeking the divine is the energy of the incomparable, he who pervades all, the most excellent desire of union, also wore the form of a boar and presented herself. The energy of the illustrious man-lion of courage, fortitude, took the same form and arrived. From her fearful roar and the toss of her hair, the stars were scattered about the sky. Mounted upon the king of elephants, the energy of the rule of the pure arrived with the thunderbolt of illumination in her hand. She had 1,000 eyes just as he. Okay? So again, the thunderbolt of illumination. That's why this is called Vajra Nirvana Marg, the specific name of the path. Lightning bolt path to realization. Vajra Nirvana Marg, the lightning bolt path. Lightning bolt way. Because illumination happens immediately. Now, it may take a number of lifetimes, a number of years to get to that point. But when realization takes place, it's very quick. Okay? Continuing. After all the energies of the gods had collected, the great God said to she who tears apart thought, I will be pleased if you quickly slay all those thoughts. Again, you have to get to that stillness of mind. Okay. Then from the body of the goddess manifested the excessively fearful and extremely terrific energy known as she who tears apart thought, who made noise in the manner of numerous jackals. That invincible goddess said to the one of dark matted hair, the great God, Supreme Lord, please go to self-conceit and self-deprecation as my ambassador. Tell those two extremely conceited ones, self-conceit and self-deprecation, and any other thoughts they're ready to wage battle, this order. If you want to live, then return to the lower worlds. Let the rule of the pure be the king of the three worlds, and let the gods enjoy their portion of sacrifice. But if, in the strength of your collected pride, you still desire to fight, then come. My manifestations will be pleased to enjoy your flesh. Because this goddess sent consciousness himself as her ambassador to the thoughts, she has become known in the world as she for whom consciousness is emissary. Now, who's the one with the matted locks? That would be Shiva. Okay, so Shakti is sending Shiva over there to be the ambassador. Okay, those great thoughts, hearing the words of the goddess from the mouth of consciousness, in great anger went to where the ever pure one was brilliantly shining. Then from above, the wrath of the thoughts caused a rain of arrows, energy, spears, and other weapons upon the goddess. She playfully cut to pieces the arrows, pikes, energy, weapons, and battle axes hurled at her by the enemy thoughts, with the great arrows let loose with the twang of her bowstring. Then the remover of darkness went in front of those enemies, and striking her with her pike, began to kill them. With the missiles of consciousness, she reduced them to powder on that battlefield. So missiles of consciousness, that awareness of them, okay, reduces them. If you can see with awareness, you can get to the root of things. You can get rid of it. You pull it out. It's no longer there. Okay. Creative energy sprinkled water from her begging bowl on groups of thoughts, and on whomever the water fell, his vitality and valor were destroyed. The energy of the great seer, with her trident, the energy of consciousness, which pervades all, with her discus, an ever pure one, with her energy battled with the thoughts in fierce rage. So I'm going to go back to this other part again. The creative energy sprinkled water from her begging bowl on a group of thoughts, and on whomever the water fell, his vitality and valor were destroyed. Well, what is that water? The water is that purity, the purity, okay? So if you have these errant thoughts and then you go into purity, this is why in the path you get honesty, integrity, transparency, sacredness, and simplicity. So the purity is that sacredness. If you see things in a sacred manner, you're not going to have those errant thoughts, okay? It's going to pull you out of that, and it destroys that. That sacredness and that purity gets rid of those thoughts of negativity, okay? So let's go forward. The energy of the rule of the pure struck with her thunderbolt, killing hundreds of thoughts and confusions who fell to the ground with blood flowing. The energy of the most excellent desire of union killed many with the blows of her snout. Many chests she punctured with her prominent tusks, and many thoughts fell to their death from the blows of her discus. The energy of the illustrious man lion killed many great thoughts with her claws and devoured them. She filled the sky above the battlefield with the hum of her roar. Many of the thoughts fell to the ground from fear of the excessively furious laugh, for she who consciousness is emissary, and she relished their taste in her mouth. Seeing the multitude of mothers slaying such great thoughts in various ways, the army of thoughts began to run away. So if you continue on your path, you continue, okay? It takes time. There may be feeling like a warring with it for a time, but eventually it's going to release, okay? Seeing those oppressed thoughts fleeing from the forces of the mothers, the seed of desire, a great thought of bounteous strength entered to fight in excessive rage. Okay. When a drop of blood from his body touches the ground, another great thought with the same intensity is born in that very place. Okay? So again, this is part of understanding that path. Desire, you put out one thought, it plants a seed, and then you have more desires to come up, more thoughts come up. Okay. The energy of the rule of pure began to fight with this great thought, who held a club in his hand. Then she smote the seed of desire with her thunderbolt. Wounded by the thunderbolt, blood poured forth from his body, and for every drop of blood that touched the ground, whatever thought gets rooted, okay, there appears the same form and equally fierce. For as many drops of blood that poured forth from the wounds of the seed of desire, just so many warriors manifested, all equally valiant, equally strong, and equally fierce. Those warriors born of the seed of desire possessed extremely fearful weapons, and they began a violent battle with a multitude of mothers. When he was wounded on the head by that meritorious thunderbolt, and the blood began to flow, then from it thousands of warriors are born. The energy of the consciousness which pervades all struck the seed of desire with her discus. The energy of the rule of the pure smote that general of the armies of thought with her club. Wounded by the discus of the energy of consciousness which pervades all, profuse blood poured forth, manifesting in thousands of great thoughts. And so that soon the entire gross world was pervaded by the seeds of desire. The ever-pure one struck that great thought, the seed of desire, with her energy, and the energy of the most excellent desire of union with her sword, and the great seer of all with her pike. In great anger, that great thought, the seed of desire himself, struck with his club at all the energies of the mother. Wounded by the energies, pikes, and other weapons, the blood poured forth from his body as a river, and as certainly there were uncountable thoughts born from it. So again, you pay attention and you give life to these thoughts. And the more you hang on to one, the more it creates another and creates another and creates another endlessly. So let's continue forward. In this way, the thoughts born of the seed of desire pervaded the entire perceivable universe, and the gods became greatly frightened. Seeing the gods' dejection, she who tears apart thought promptly told the remover of darkness, "Hey, slayer of passion and anger, expand your mouth. Quickly, eat all the seeds of desire, and all these great thoughts which come from the seed of desire where he is struck with the blows of my weapons. Stroll about the battlefield, and eat all of the great thoughts born of that blood, and as all of the blood is wasted, he will soon destroy himself." Okay? So you nip one thought in the bud. Okay? Eventually, that energy dissipates. Okay? When you eat all those fearful thoughts, then new thoughts will not be born, said the goddess who tears apart thought, struck with this seed of desire, her pike. And the remover of darkness took his blood in her mouth, and then he struck she who tears apart thought with his club. But the goddess felt no pain from the blow of the club. Still the blood continued to flow from his wounds. But whatever blood fell, the slayer of passion and anger took in her mouth. And as many great thoughts as were born from that blood, she instantly took them into her mouth, and she drank the blood. Then the goddess fought with the seed of desire, her pike, thunderbolt, bow, sword, spear, while the slayer of passion and anger drank the blood. O king, the seed of desire was wounded by that great collection of weapons, and deprived of blood, that great thought fell to the ground, and the gods attained inconceivable bliss. So again, once those thoughts are gone and they're no longer manifesting, this bliss can arise, this peace. The multitude of the mothers, delighted from the drink of his blood, danced vigorously with joy. I'm going. Says, I take refuge in the supremely divided one. This is Shiv Shakti, okay, the Ardhanarishwara, the one that looks to be half Shiva, and then the other half is Shakti in the same form. The Lord, who is both male and female continuously without end. The colors like flowers, or excellent gold with red and yellow mixture. In the hand holds a rosary and net a curved sword, and shows the mudra giving blessings. The radiant half moon is her ornament, and she has 3 eyes. Okay. O divine being, this narrative that you have told me of the death of the seed of desire and the greatness of goddess is wonderful indeed. Self-conceit and self-deprecation must have been very angry at his death. I wish to hear how they reacted. After the death of the seed of desire and other thoughts in the battle, there was no limit to the anger of self-conceit and self-deprecation. Seeing that his extensive army was being killed in this way, self-deprecation, along with his foremost soldiers, in great anger ran towards the goddess. In front of him and behind him, and also on both flanks, were great thoughts who expressed anger by biting their lips, and they came to kill the goddess. The extremely violent self-conceit also came in great anger, along with his army, to do battle with a multitude of mothers and to kill she who tears apart thought. Then self-conceit and self-deprecation began a violent fight with the goddess. Those 2 thoughts in the manner of clouds caused fearful shower of arrows. Those hurled arrows were immediately cut in flight by the mass arrows from the bow of she who tears apart thought, and the multitude of other weapons she rained upon the 2 kings of thought wounded their bodies. Self-deprecation took a sharp sword and shining shield and struck the goddess's carrier, the lion, upon the head. After her carrier was wounded, the goddess immediately cut that sword of self-deprecation into pieces with her arrows, and also his shield, which was inlaid with 8 moons. When his sword and shield were torn in pieces, that thought thrust his energy, but the goddess cut it also into pieces by her discus. And what's the discus? Time. Okay, these things sometimes take time to resolve. His temper flaring, self-deprecation took his pike to fight with the goddess, but she instantly pulverized it with a blow of her fist. Then he grabbed a club and hurled it at the goddess, but that too she who tears apart thought cut by her trident and reduced it to ashes. Thereafter that king of thought, self-deprecation, took a battle axe in his hands, but seeing him coming, the goddess let loose a multitude of arrows, and having wounded him, she put him to rest on the earth. After self-deprecation was laid to rest on the earth, his extremely fierce brother was agitated, and he approached to kill the mother of the universe. Seated on his chariot, he was displaying magnificent weapons in his 8 mighty arms, and he covered the entire atmosphere with his wonderful brilliance. Seeing him approaching, the goddess sounded her conch, and made an excessively unbearable noise along with the twang of her bowstring. The sound of her bell, which destroys the splendor of all thoughts, pervaded in all directions. Thereafter the lion gave a roar, hearing which even the greatest kings of elephants lost their pride, and the hum of the roar filled the earth, the atmosphere, and the 10 directions. Then the remover of darkness leaped into atmosphere, and with her 2 hands she slapped the earth. From this there was an excessive noise, and the preceding sounds became quiet. Thereafter she, for whom consciousness is emissary, gave a great horse laugh, to the displeasure of the thoughts. And hearing this, all the thoughts began to shudder. Self-conceit was greatly agitated. The goddess said to self-conceit, "O wicked one, stand fast." And then the voice of the gods rose in the atmosphere, "Victory to you." As self-conceit was advancing, he thrust an extremely fearful luminous energy, which was coming like a mountain of fire, and the goddess, with a great flame of fire, put it away. The atmosphere of the three worlds was pervaded by the lion-like cry of self-conceit, but even greater volume was the frightful clap of thunder, which conquered all other sounds. Self-conceit and goddess cut one another's arrows in hundreds and thousands, and then the enraged she who tears apart thought struck him with the pike, and wounded he fell to the ground senseless. Then self-deprecation, regaining consciousness, took his bow and struck the goddess, the remover of darkness, and the lion with arrows. Again, the Lord of Confusion, the son of earthly concepts, extending 10,000 arms, attacked she who tears about thought with discus. Now, that's interesting. So let's look at this again. The Lord of Confusion is the son of earthly concepts. Okay? Man-made religious dogmas, etc., earthly concepts. Okay? Confusion. So let's go forward with this. Then the Supreme Lord, the destroyer of troubles and afflictions, grew angry and cut those discs and arrows with her own arrows. Self-deprecation swiftly took his club and, accompanied by an army of thoughts, rushed forward to kill she who tears apart thought. As he was approaching, she who tears apart thought cut his club with a sharp-edged sword, whereupon he seized a pike. As self-deprecation, the afflicter of gods, approached with pike in hand, she who tears apart thoughts swiftly pierced him in the heart with her own pike. Emerging from the heart pierced by the pike came a spirit of great strength and valor, crying, "Stop!" With loud laughter, the goddess severed his head with her sword, and he fell to the ground. Then the lion crushed the necks of many thoughts with his fierce teeth and ate them, while the remover of darkness and she for whom consciousness is emissary devoured others. Some great thoughts perished, being pierced by the energy of the ever-pure one, while others were repulsed, being sprinkled by the water, sanctified by the incantation of creative energy. Others were cut by the trident of the energy of the great seer of all, and fell, while others were ground to powder by the snout of the most excellent desire of union. Confusions were cut to pieces by the discus of the energy of the consciousness which pervades all, and others by the thunderbolt hurled from the palm of the hand of the energy of the rule of the pure. Some thoughts perished, and other thoughts fled from the battle, while still others were eaten by the remover of darkness, for she for whom consciousness is emissary and the king of beasts. So now we continue forward. With the fullness of my heart, I think of the female lord of all, Kameshvari, the ruler of desire, who unites intrinsic nature of Shiva and Shakti, of consciousness and energy, who wears the radiant half-moon on her head. Her luster is as beautiful as gold. Sun, moon, fire are her three eyes, and in her lovely hand she holds bow, arrow, curved sword, net, and spear. And the Rishi says, seeing his brother's self-deprecation, who was dear as his own life slain, and his strong forces being conquered, self-conceit spoke these words, and anger. O reliever of difficulties, wicked and proud of your strength, do not show your pride to me. You fight by means of the strength of others. And the goddess says, I'm the only one here in the perceivable world. No other exists beyond me. O wicked one, see as these manifestations of my energy enter into myself. Then all the goddesses, led by the creative energy, dissolved into the being of the goddess. And there was only one existence in the perceivable world, the mother of the universe. I resided here in many forms, which were manifestations of my energy. Okay. These have all been withdrawn by me, and now I stand alone, stand up to fight. So it's again, whether it's Christian and you have, God has 144 different names in the Bible, 144 different names. So if you had an image that related to every name, like we have Jehovah Jireh, the provider, you have one image that shows the provider. It's the same thing as the Hinduism. Each one represents a different type of energy, a different type of quality of the singular God. Okay, there's a singular God, but it projects out into what? People, animals, beings, whatever it is. All of these are projections of the one singular being. Okay? And the gods, quote unquote gods, are not singular things to be worshipped on their own. To see, these are just different reflections, like the diamond has how many different reflections, different, okay? It's like that. Okay. So all of the energies have gone back and condensed into that singular form. Then the goddess in self-conceit began a dreadful battle, while the gods in thoughts looked on. With showers of arrows, sharp weapons, and incredible missiles, the combat which engaged them was frightful to all the world. The mother of the universe discharged hundreds of divine missiles, which were cut by the Lord of Thought by his defensive weapons. And so many excellent missiles were hurled by him, were playfully cut by the Supreme Sovereign with fierce incantations of Hum and other mantras. Then that thought covered the goddess with hundreds of arrows, and the goddess in anger cut his bow with her arrows. With his bow broken, the Lord of Thought took up his energy, but that was cut by the goddess with her discus while it was still in his hand. Then the Supreme Lord of Thought took his brilliant sword and shield bearing 100 moons and rushed towards the goddess. As he was approaching, she who tears apart thought cut his sword with sharp arrows from her bow, and also his shield as bright rays of the sun. With his horses slain, his bow cut, and without a charioteer, that thought seized a fierce mace, trying to kill the mother of the universe. And as he approached, she cut his mace with her sharp arrows, whereupon he continued towards her with great speed to strike her with his fist. That renowned thought brought his fist down on the heart of the goddess, while the goddess struck him on the chest with her palm. Struck by the blow of the palm, he fell to the ground, but the king of thought immediately rose again. Then seizing the goddess, he rose up into the atmosphere, and there also she who tears apart thought waged battle with him without any support. Then that thought and she who tears apart thought began to fight in the atmosphere as never before, causing astonishment to adepts and men of wisdom. After a long, close encounter, the Mother of the Universe raised him above, spun him around, and threw him to the earth. Thus thrown to the earth, he hastily got up, and raising his fist, that wicked one rushed forward to kill she who tears apart thought. Seeing the approach of the sovereign of all thoughts, she, the goddess, pierced him in the chest with her pike and threw him again to the earth. Pierced by the sharp point of the goddess's pike, he fell dead upon the ground, shaking the entire earth with its oceans, its islands, and its mountains. When that evil one was killed, the entire perceivable universe was pleased, all was at peace, and the sky became clear. The flaming clouds of symptomatic confusion became tranquil after his fall, and the rivers flowed in their courses. On his death, the minds of the multitude of gods became overjoyed, and the celestial minstrels began to sing sweet songs. Other celestial minstrels played their instruments while the heavenly maidens danced. A gentle breeze began to blow, and the sun shined radiantly above. The sacred fires burned brilliantly in peace, and peaceful became the fearful sounds which had filled all the directions. I meditate on the goddess Bhuvaneshwari, the ruler of the earth. The brilliancy of her body is like sunrise in the morning. The moon is a crown upon her head, and her swelling breasts overflow. Her 3 eyes are in union. Upon her face shines her radiant smile, and her hands show the mudra of granting boons, the curved sword, net, and mudra granting fearlessness. When the great Lord of Thought was slain by the goddess, the gods with the rule of the pure, led by the light of meditation, illuminating the quarters with their cheerful faces because of the fulfillment of their desire, praised the ever-pure one. O goddess, you who removed the distress of all, take refuge in you, be pleased. Be pleased, O Mother of the entire perceivable world, be pleased. O Supreme of the universe, protect the universe. O Goddess, you are the supreme over all that moves and does not move. Because you exist as the intrinsic nature of the earth, you alone are the sole support of the material world. O Goddess of unchangeable valor, you reside as the intrinsic nature of water, whereby you gratify this all. You are the energy of the consciousness which pervades all, of infinite valor, the seed of the universe, that which is beyond limitation. By you, O Goddess, all is diluted by attachment. And if you are gracious, you are the cause of liberation in this world. Okay? So, again, this can bring liberation or delusion if one is attached. Okay? Deluded by these attachments. Therefore, one does the path of meditation, and then that stills the mind, the thoughts, these attachments, and becomes enlightened. Okay. O Goddess, all that is knowable are your various distinctions, and all women in the world reflect your capacity entirely. By you, O Mother, this world is filled. For you, who are beyond praise, how can we sing of your glory? O Goddess, bestower of heaven and liberation, you are all existence. When you have been thus extolled, what else can be sung of your glory? You reside in the heart of all living beings in the form of intelligence. You bestow upon your devotees heaven and liberation. O Goddess, the exposer of consciousness, we bow to you. In the form of divisions of time, you bring about change. To the energy which exists after the dissolution of the universe, exposer of consciousness, we bow to you. To the auspicious of the auspiciousness, to the good, to the accomplisher of all objectives, to the source of refuge, to the mother of the three worlds, to the goddess who is rays of light, exposer of consciousness, we bow to you. You are the eternal energy of creation, preservation, and destructions in all existence, that upon which all qualities depend, that which limits all powers, exposer of consciousness, we bow to you. For those who are devoted to you and take refuge in you, even though helpless and perplexed, you save them from discomfort and unhappiness. All worry you take away, O Goddess, exposer of consciousness, we bow to you. Wearing the form of creative energy, sitting upon the carrier yoked to the swans of the vital breath, sprinkling water with the sanctity of kusa grass, O Goddess, exposer of consciousness, we bow to you. So again, it talks about being yoked to the swans of vital breath. The swans, what are the swans? The swans are indicative of liberation. Okay, for those that don't know Hindu things, swans are the realized being. They're yoked to the vital breath. That's why I teach the balanced breath, not the fire breath, balanced breath. It's a different thing. To keep things in that integrity, in balance, okay, to go forward to liberation. In the form of the energy of the great seer of all, displaying the trident of unity, the moon of devotion, and the serpents of energy, mounted upon the great bull of discipline, exposer of consciousness, we bow to you. Appearing in the form of the ever-pure one, accompanied by the cock of regularity and the peacock of beauty, wielding the great energy, sinless exposer of consciousness, we bow to you. Be gracious in the form of the energy of consciousness, which pervades all. You who bear the conch of vibrations, the discus of revolving time, the club of articulation, and the bow of determination, exposer of consciousness, we bow to you. In the form of the most excellent desire of union, you raised the earth with your tusks of perseverance, wielding the great discus of revolving time for the good, exposer of consciousness, we bow to you. So again, that's interesting, wielding the great discus of revolving time for the good, okay? Karma plays out. In the end, these things will be rectified. We are going through now the planet as a transition time. Okay? This will resolve. It will resolve in time. It takes the time. In the form of the man-lion courageous fortitude, you engaged in slaying thoughts, protecting the three worlds, exposer of consciousness, we bow to you. Possessing a crown, the great thunderbolt of illumination, and 1,000 radiant eyes, taking the life of confusion, exposer of consciousness, we bow to you. The intrinsic nature of she for whom consciousness is emissary, who conquered the mighty armies of thought, of fearful form and intense sound, exposer of consciousness, we bow to you. With great teeth in your mouth displaying a garland of heads of evil thoughts, O slayer of passion and anger, exposer of consciousness, we bow to you. To true wealth, humility, great knowledge, faith, nourishment, self-sustenance, constancy, the great night of ignorance and the great measurement of consciousness, exposer of consciousness, we bow to you. The intellect of love, the spirit of all-pervading knowledge, the best, all existence, nature, unknowable one, fully occupied with self-restraint, O Supreme, be pleased, exposer of consciousness, we bow to you. The intrinsic nature of all, the supreme of all, and the energy of all as well. You remove all fear from us. O Goddess, reliever of difficulties, O Goddess, we bow to you. May this beautiful face displaying 3 eyes protect us from all existence. Ever pure one, we bow to you. With intensive brilliance, exceedingly sharp, the fierce destroyer of all thoughts, may your trident protect us from all fear. O excellent she who is beyond all time, we bow to you. O Goddess, the loud sound of your bell fills the perceivable world, destroying the prowess of all thoughts and protecting us from evil as a mother protects her children. May the brilliant sword of worship in your hands, smeared with the blood and the fat of thoughts, act for our welfare. Oh, you who tear apart thought, we bow to you. When you are pleased, you destroy all infirmities, and when you are displeased, you frustrate all desires. No calamity befalls those who take refuge in you, and those who take refuge in you invariably become a refuge to others. Who else could do this which you have now performed, slaughtering the great thoughts, enemies of the way of truth to wisdom, by manifesting the one form of the Mother of the universe into many? Who other than you is spoken of in knowledge, in scriptures, in discourses, in all sound, as the light of discrimination? You throw the universe in great blinding darkness of egotism and attachment and make it whirl. Where there are demons of confused thoughts, serpents of dreadful poison, where there are foes and mighty hosts of robbers, where there is a great conflagration in the midst of the sea of objects and their relationships, you stand and save the universe. You are the sovereign of the universe, and you protect the universe. The soul of the universe you support. Those who bow to you in devotion become the refuge of the universe. O Goddess, please be pleased, and as you have now saved us by slaying thoughts, in like manner always save us from fear of foes. Eradicate all evil from the worlds as well as all confusion and disturbance. O Goddess, remove the suffering and calamities of the universe. Be gracious to us who bow before you. You are worthy of praise by the inhabitants of the 3 worlds. Grant the best to all the worlds. O gods, I shall give you a blessing. Whatever blessing be your mind's desire for the benefit of the world, that blessing I shall surely give. O Spirit of the Supreme Sovereign, terminate all disturbance in the 3 worlds, and like manner remove from us all hostility. In the 14th part of the day of the infinite, rule by the universal light. In the 28th period for manifestation, 2 great thoughts, self-conceit and self-deprecation, will manifest again. Okay. Then I shall be born from the womb of welfare in the house of the guardian of delight, and residing in the mountains of knowledge, I shall slay them. Again, I shall incarnate on earth in a fierce form and slay the confusions of the agitated awareness. And when I devour those great thoughts of agitated awareness, my teeth will become as red as a pomegranate flower. Then the gods in the heavens and the men of the world and mortals will continually sing my praise as she with red teeth. And when rain shall cease for 100 years, and the earth will be devoid of water, praised by men of wisdom, I shall manifest on earth, but not taking birth in a womb. Then I shall look at wise men with 100 eyes, whereupon the descendants of the incarnation of wisdom shall sing my praise, as she with 100 eyes. Then, O gods, I shall nourish and maintain the entire world and preserve living beings with vegetables from my body until the rain comes. Then I shall be famed on earth as she who nourishes with vegetables. Also at that time I shall slay the great thought impossible. Then my name shall be renowned as Durga, she who removes difficulties. Again, I shall present a fearful form to protect the men of wisdom in the Himalayas, and I will eat confusions, whereupon all wise men will sing my praise, bowing to my manifested image. Then my name will become famous as the goddess of fearful form, when perplexity will create great oppressions in the 3 worlds. Then I shall take the form of innumerable bees with 6 legs, and for the benefit of the 3 worlds I shall slay that great thought. Then everywhere people will offer me praise as she who has a bee-like nature. Thus, whenever oppression arises from confused thought, I shall manifest to destroy foes. Okay. So we're going to leave this here, and I think we have one more. Yeah, we have one more. One more short one. Yeah, I think there's one more short one. Trying to see how much is left of this. Yeah, maybe there's one more. Oh my goodness. So that's part 3. Tomorrow we will continue with part 4, but all of this is basically an allegory of the path, what it takes to, again, go from that place of confusion, okay, and begin to have the meditation, and you continue with what? Prayer, worship, good thoughts, purity, those things, to move forward, okay, to counteract these thoughts at first, and then coming to the stilling of the thoughts. And with enlightenment, with realization, one comes to that still mind, okay? One has gone beyond these self-defeating thoughts of bondage, the illusions of truth, okay? So thanks for tuning in, love and light. See you online.